Exile and Arrival. The sleek silver pod hurtled through Earth's atmosphere, trailing fire and smoke as it plummeted towards the ground. Inside, two alien sisters clung to each other, their luminescent skin flickering with fear and anticipation. Zara, the elder, kept her four eyes fixed on the rapidly approaching landscape, while her younger sister Nera buried her face in Zara's shoulder. "This is it," Zara whispered, her melodic voice barely audible over the roar of their uncontrolled descent. "Our punishment and our chance for a new beginning." Naira lifted her head, revealing eyes that shimmered like liquid gold. "I'm scared, Zara. What if the humans are as primitive and violent as the Council warned?" Before Zara could respond, their pod slammed into the earth with bone-jarring force. The sisters were thrown against their restraints as metal screamed and crumpled around them. When the dust settled, an eerie silence fell over the crash site. Miles away, in a nondescript government facility, alarms blared to life. Dr. Eliana Chen nearly spilled her coffee as she rushed to her monitoring station, her colleague Dr. James Harper close on her heels. "We've got an anomaly," Eliana announced, her fingers flying over the keyboard. Unidentified object entered the atmosphere at 2:47 a.m. local time. Impact in Sector 7, approximately 20 miles from the nearest town. James leaned in, his brow furrowed. "Meteor." Eliana shook her head, a mix of excitement and apprehension in her voice. Too controlled for a natural object, this was a craft of some kind. And if I'm reading these energy signatures correctly, she trailed off, hardly daring to voice her suspicion. James finished her thought. We're not alone anymore. As the first rays of dawn painted the sky, Zara managed to force open the battered hatch of their pod. She helped Nera climb out, both sisters wincing at injuries sustained during the crash. They stood on shaky legs, taking in their first breath of Earth's air and the alien landscape around them. Rolling hills covered in lush green vegetation stretched as far as they could see. A warm breeze carried unfamiliar scents, and in the distance, they could hear the calls of Earth's wildlife awakening to the new day. It was beautiful, terrifying, and utterly foreign. "It's so chaotic," Nera murmured, her antenna twitching as she processed the sensory overload. On their homeworld of Lumina, every plant, every structure, every aspect of life was carefully controlled and regulated. This wild, untamed beauty was unlike anything they had ever experienced. Zara nodded, her own senses reeling. "Remember why we're here, sister. This chaos, this freedom, it's what we fought for back home. Now we have to learn to embrace it." As the sisters took their first tentative steps on Earth's soil, they were unaware of the approaching vehicles carrying Eliana, James, and a team of government agents. Their exile had begun, but so too had an adventure that would change two worlds forever. I can continue developing this story from here, following the outline and maintaining the tone and style you're looking for. Just let me know if you'd like me to proceed with the rest echoes of humanity. The first light of dawn painted the sky in hues of lavender and gold as Zara and Nera crouched behind a cluster of earth vegetation they would later learn were called trees. Their luminescent skin, normally a source of pride on their homeworld of Lumina, now felt like a beacon announcing their presence to any who might look their way. "Quantum camouflage offline," Nora whispered, her antennae drooping in frustration. "We're exposed, sister." Zara's four eyes narrowed as she surveyed the approaching vehicles. "Remember our training. We adapt. We survive." As the human vehicles drew closer, kicking up clouds of dust, the sisters exchanged a look of determination. They had been exiled for promoting ideas of individuality and freedom on Lumina. Now, faced with the very embodiment of those ideals, they felt a mixture of terror and exhilaration. Dr. Eliana Chen stepped out of the lead vehicle, her heart pounding with a cocktail of scientific curiosity and primal fear. Beside her, Dr. James Harper clutched a tablet, its screen displaying readings that defied every known law of physics. "My God," James breathed, his eyes wide as he caught sight of the aliens. They're beautiful. Eliana shot him a look. Focus, James. This is first contact. Everything rides on the next few moments. As the humans approached, Zara made a decision that would alter the course of both their species. She stepped forward, hands raised in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Greetings, humans of Earth," she said, her voice a melodic trill that seemed to dance on the air. "We come seeking asylum." The humans froze, clearly shocked to hear their own language from an alien mouth. Eliana, ever the scientist, recovered first. How do you know English?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nira, emboldened by her sister's bravery, joined Zara. "We learned from your broadcasts. Your internet reaches farther than you know." James chuckled nervously. "Well, that's mildly terrifying." What followed was a crash course in interspecies diplomacy. As government agents secured the area, Eliana and James found themselves acting as impromptu ambassadors for humanity. They learned that Zara and Nero were political refugees, exiled for promoting ideas that humans took for granted: freedom of thought, individuality, the right to question authority. "On Lumina, conformity is everything," Zara explained as they sat in a hastily erected quarantine tent. "Our society achieved technological marvels, but at the cost of our souls." Eliana leaned forward, fascinated. "But surely your people see the value in diversity of thought, in innovation." Naira shook her head, her antenna drooping. "Our leaders believe that perfect unity is the path to perfection. Deviation is harshly discouraged." As the day wore on, the sisters shared glimpses of Luminan technology that made even the most advanced human innovations seem primitive by comparison. Quantum computers, zero-point energy, even the theoretical framework for faster-than-light travel. But for all their technological prowess, it was the simple human concepts of freedom and self-expression that had captivated Zara and Nira, leading to their exile. James, who had been quietly observing, finally spoke up. "You risked everything for ideas we often take for granted. That's incredibly brave." Zara's skin flickered with a pattern that Eliana was beginning to recognize as their equivalent of a blush. "We believed there had to be more to existence than blind obedience. Finding your broadcasts, learning about Earth, it showed us we were right." As night fell, Eliana and James found themselves grappling with the implications of the day's events: the existence of alien life, confirmation that humanity's messages were being received across the cosmos, and the realization that their visitors saw humans not as primitive beings to be conquered, but as bearers of ideals worth fighting for. "You know," Eliana said softly as they watched the sisters examine a simple daisy with wonder, "I always thought first contact would be about us learning from them. I never imagined we might have something to teach." James nodded, a smile playing at his lips. "Humanity, fuck yeah." Eliana laughed, the sound carrying across the makeshift camp and drawing curious looks from Zara and Nira. In that moment, despite the vast differences between their species, a connection was formed, a bridge between worlds, built on shared ideals and mutual curiosity. But as the humans and their alien guests basked in the glow of new friendship, they were unaware of the storm brewing light years away. On Lumina, the exile of Zara and Nira had sparked a chain reaction. Ideas of freedom and individuality, so long suppressed, were beginning to spread like wildfire. The Luminan Council, faced with the greatest threat to their power in millennia, made a fateful decision. Earth, the source of these dangerous ideas, must be silenced. And so, as the sisters took their first steps towards understanding humanity, a vast armada was being assembled. Its mission: to eradicate the threat of human individuality and bring Zara and Nira back to face Luminan justice. The stage was set for a conflict that would determine the fate of two worlds. Humanity, with all its flaws and virtues, was about to face its greatest test. And at the center of it all, two alien sisters who had found in humanity something worth fighting for. As the first stars began to twinkle in the night sky, Zara looked up, a mixture of hope and foreboding in her 4 eyes. "Do you think we made the right choice coming here?" she asked Nira. Her sister took her hand, their luminescent skin glowing in harmony. "I don't know," Nira replied honestly. "But for the first time in our lives, sister, we have the freedom to find out." Little did they know that freedom would soon be tested in ways they could never have imagined. Quantum entanglement of hearts. The holographic display flickered to life in the underground bunker, casting an ethereal glow across the faces of those gathered. Zara and Nira stood at its center, their luminescent skin pulsing with complex patterns of light, a language unto itself that even the most advanced human algorithms were still struggling to fully decipher. "The Luminan fleet approaches," Zara announced, her 4 eyes focused on the 3D star map hovering before them. "Their quantum drives are unlike anything your science has conceived. They'll be here within 72 Earth hours." Dr. Eliana Chen felt a chill run down her spine. In the months since the sisters' arrival, she had glimpsed wonders beyond imagination and terrors to match. "How many ships?" she asked, dreading the answer. Nira's antennae drooped, "Enough to blot out your sun." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, military strategists arguing over impossible odds, scientists proposing theoretical defenses, politicians demanding solutions that simply didn't exist. Through it all, Dr. James Harper remained silent, his eyes locked on the tablet displaying an equation that shouldn't work, but somehow did. "Enough." The voice cut through the chaos like a laser through fog. All eyes turned to General Maria Santos, her weathered face a mask of determination. "We didn't survive ice ages, plagues, and our own self-destructive tendencies just to roll over now. We fight." A ripple of agreement passed through the room, but Zara stepped forward, her skin flickering with what Eliana had come to recognize as concern. "You don't understand. Luminan technology is centuries beyond yours. Their weapons can unravel the very fabric of spacetime. This isn't a battle you can win through conventional means." James finally looked up from his tablet, a glimmer of something dangerous in his eyes. "Who said anything about conventional?" The next 48 hours were a blur of feverish activity. As governments around the world mobilized for a threat most of humanity was still unaware of, a select team of scientists, led by Eliana and James, worked on a plan so audacious it bordered on madness. In a repurposed particle accelerator deep beneath the Swiss Alps, Zara and Nira stood before a device that looked like a cross between a telescope and a particle collider. "You're insane," Nira said, but there was a note of admiration in her voice. "This can't possibly work." James grinned, dark circles under his eyes betraying days without sleep. "That's what they said about heavier-than-air flight, and splitting the atom, and 1,000 other impossible things humanity has achieved. We call it the quantum entanglement resonator." Eliana stepped forward, her voice tinged with both excitement and trepidation. "The theory is simple. Your people's technology relies on quantum manipulation on a scale we can barely comprehend. But all quantum systems, no matter how advanced, share certain fundamental properties." Zara's eyes widened as understanding dawned. "You're going to try to entangle your device with our fleet's quantum drives." James nodded. "If it works, we can create a feedback loop that will disrupt their systems. Not destroy them, we're not monsters, but disable them long enough to force a dialogue." "And if it doesn't work?" Nira asked. Eliana's smile was grim. "Then humanity goes down swinging, true to form." As the device powered up, filling the air with the scent of ozone and possibility, Zara found herself reflecting on the strange journey that had brought them to this point. She and Nira had come to Earth as exiles, expecting to find a primitive world. Instead, they had discovered a species of dreamers and doers, beings who looked at the impossible and said, "Watch me." The first signs of the Luminan fleet appeared in Earth's skies 12 hours later. Massive ships that defied physics, their hulls shimmering with otherworldly energies. Panic gripped the planet as the reality of alien contact and alien invasion became impossible to ignore. But in that repurposed particle accelerator, a small team of humans and two alien sisters prepared to attempt the impossible. Energy levels at maximum, Eliana called out, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Quantum fields stabilized. James stood before the main emitter, his hand hovering over the activation switch. He turned to Zora and Nera, a question in his eyes. The sisters exchanged a look, volumes spoken in a flicker of bioluminescence. Then, as one, they nodded. "For Earth," Zara said. "For freedom," Naira added. James took a deep breath. "For humanity." He flipped the switch. The quantum entanglement resonator hummed to life, a beam of impossible energy lancing up into the sky. For a heart-stopping moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, like dominoes falling in reverse, the Luminan ships began to falter. Their perfect formations wavered, their weapons powering down. On screens around the world, humans watched in awe as the seemingly invincible armada ground to a halt. In the control room, cheers erupted. Eliana threw her arms around James, tears streaming down her face. "We did it. We actually did it." But Zara and Nera remained focused on the readings pouring in. "It's not over," Zara cautioned. "We've stopped them, but now comes the hard part." Nera nodded, her expression a mix of hope and trepidation. "Now we have to convince two worlds, set in their ways for millennia, to change." As if in response to her words, a new signal cut through the airwaves. The face that appeared on screens around the world was Luminan, but unlike any Zara and Nera had seen before, his skin flickered with patterns of individualism long suppressed on their homeworld. "People of Earth," the Luminan said, his voice carrying a weight of authority and a hint of wonder. "I am High Counselor Zhen. We came here prepared for war, but you have shown us something we had forgotten. The power of innovation, of individuality, of hope." He paused, his four eyes blinking in what might have been emotion. "We request a dialogue." As the transmission ended, a stunned silence fell over the control room. It was broken by James, who let out a disbelieving laugh. "Did we just save the world with science and win over an alien armada with the power of human creativity?" Eliana grinned, exhaustion and exhilaration warring on her face. "I believe the technical term is humanity. Fuck yeah." Zara and Nera exchanged a look of pure joy, their skin glowing with patterns too complex for human eyes to fully appreciate. In that moment, they weren't exiles or aliens. They were bridges between worlds, standing at the dawn of a new era for both their peoples. As the first light of a new day broke over the horizon, humanity prepared to take its place among the stars. Not through conquest or submission, but through the very qualities that had brought Zara and Nera to Earth in the first place: the audacity to dream, the courage to be different, and the unwavering belief that the impossible is just another problem waiting to be solved. The quantum entanglement of hearts had begun, and the universe would never be the same. The cosmic singularity. The world held its breath as the first official meeting between Earth's leaders and the Luminan High Council took place. The venue, a hastily constructed zero-gravity chamber aboard the International Space Station, now expanded and reinforced thanks to a mind-bending fusion of human ingenuity and Luminan quantum technology. Dr. Eliana Chen floated at the center of the chamber, her heart racing as she gazed at the assembled delegates. Humans in sleek spacesuits mingled with Luminans, their bioluminescent skin creating mesmerizing patterns in the station's dim light. At her side, Dr. James Harper fiddled nervously with a device that looked like a cross between a smartphone and a kaleidoscope, the first human-made quantum translator. "Ready to make history," Eliana whispered. James grinned, a mix of excitement and terror in his eyes. "Born ready, though I didn't expect history to involve negotiating galactic peace in my pajamas." Their banter was interrupted as High Counselor Zhen entered the chamber, his four eyes scanning the room with a mixture of curiosity and caution. Zara and Nara, now official liaisons between the two species, followed close behind. Esteemed delegates of Earth, Jen began, his voice resonating through the quantum translator in a symphony of harmonics, we stand at a cosmic crossroads. For millennia, Lumina believed unity through conformity was the path to enlightenment. You've shown us another way. The UN Secretary-General stepped forward, her voice steady despite the surreal circumstances. High Counselor, humanity extends its hand in friendship, but we must address the elephant in the room, or shall I say, the armada in our orbit. A ripple of nervous laughter passed through the human delegates. The luminant skin flickered in patterns that the translator interpreted as amusement. Zen nodded solemnly. A fair point. Our fleet came with intentions of conquest, yes, but your quantum entanglement resonator did more than disable our ships. It opened our eyes. He gestured to Zara and Nera. These brave souls, whom we once cast out as heretics, saw in humanity a spark of something precious, something we had lost in our quest for perfection, individuality, creativity, the beautiful chaos from which true innovation springs. As the negotiations unfolded, it became clear that both civilizations had much to offer each other. Humanity's adaptability and creative problem-solving complemented Luminan technological prowess, but it was more than a simple exchange of knowledge that was taking place. It was a fusion of philosophies, a cosmic singularity of ideas. Eliana found herself at the heart of these discussions, her scientific mind racing with the possibilities. What if, she proposed during a particularly heated debate about cultural exchange, we created a joint scientific initiative, a cosmic concordance to tackle the greatest mysteries of the universe together. The idea took root, growing and evolving as both humans and luminans built upon it. Soon, plans were being drawn up for massive space habitats where both species could live and work together, for quantum-entangled communication networks that would span galaxies, for expeditions to the very edge of the known universe. But amidst the grand visions, it was the small moments that truly bridged the gap between worlds. James found himself engaged in an impromptu jam session with a group of luminans, their bioluminescent rhythms sensing with his acoustic guitar in ways that defied traditional music theory. The resulting melody brought tears to the eyes of everyone present, a harmony of two worlds that needed no translation. Zara and Nera, watching these interactions unfold, felt a surge of emotion they couldn't quite name. "Is this what you imagined when we crash-landed on Earth?" Nara asked, her antennae quivering with excitement. Zara's skin pulsed with patterns of joy and wonder. "Not in my wildest dreams, sister. We came seeking asylum. We found a new future for two civilizations." As the negotiations neared their conclusion, a new challenge emerged. The quantum link that allowed instantaneous communication between Earth and Lumino was destabilizing. The two worlds, once prepared for war, now faced the prospect of being cut off just as they were learning to understand each other. In a scene that would be immortalized in art and legend for generations to come, human and luminan scientists worked feverishly side by side. Equations filled every available surface, whiteboards, windows, even the station's walls. Quantum computers interfaced with human AI in ways that pushed the boundaries of both technologies. At the center of it all stood Eliana and James, working in perfect sync with Zara and Nera. Their four minds, so different yet united in purpose, raced towards a solution that neither species could have conceived of alone. "We're thinking too linearly," Eliana muttered, frustration evident in her voice. Zara's eyes lit up. What if we don't try to stabilize the link? What if we embrace the chaos?" James caught on, his fingers flying over a holographic interface. A controlled quantum flux. Not a static connection, but a dynamic one that adapts to the very fabric of spacetime. Nara's antennae twitched with excitement. Yes, we don't fight entropy, we dance with it. The solution, when it finally came together, was beautiful in its complexity and elegant in its simplicity. A network of quantum beacons seeded throughout both solar systems, creating a fluid, ever-changing web of connection. It wasn't just a communication system. It was a living bridge between worlds, one that would grow and evolve as both civilizations did. As the new quantum network sprang to life, cheers erupted throughout the station and across two worlds. Humanity and Lumina were no longer alone in the cosmos. They were partners, friends, two strands of DNA in the double helix of a new galactic civilization. The final agreement, dubbed the Cosmic Concordance, was more than a peace treaty. It was a roadmap to a shared future, joint scientific missions, cultural exchange programs, and a commitment to face the mysteries and challenges of the universe together. As the Earth delegates prepared to return home, Eliana found herself floating by a viewport, gazing out at the blue marble of Earth and the shimmering forms of the Lunan ships beyond. James joined her, a look of awe on his face. "You know," he said softly, "I always dreamed of making first contact, of being part of something bigger than ourselves. But this is beyond anything I could have imagined." Eliana nodded, her eyes shining with unshed tears of joy. "We did it, James. We really did it. Humanity didn't just survive first contact. We thrived. We showed the galaxy what we're made of." As if to punctuate her words, a burst of light caught their attention. Far below, visible even from orbit, the quantum entanglement resonator was firing up again. But this time, its purpose was not defense. It was reaching out, a beacon of hope and friendship, painting the sky with quantum fire. Zara and Nira approached, their skin glowing with patterns that needed no translation. The four of them, two humans, two luminans, stood together, united by an adventure that had changed two worlds forever. "So," James said with a grin, "what's next?" Zara's answer held the promise of 1,000 adventures to come. "The stars, my friends. The stars await." As the Earth turned below them, day breaking over a world forever changed, the quantum beacons pulsed with newfound strength. It was more than a network of communication. It was a web of shared dreams, of infinite possibilities, of a future where the best of both worlds would light the way forward. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and the universe, it seemed, was eager to dance. The nexus of infinite worlds. 10 years after the historic cosmic concordance, Earth had transformed into a bustling hub of interstellar activity. The skyline of major cities now featured towering spires of luminant crystal alongside gleaming human skyscrapers. Quantum-powered hovercars zipped between buildings, their paths guided by an AI traffic system that made gridlock a thing of the past. At the heart of this new world stood the Nexus, a massive structure that defied conventional physics. Part space elevator, part interdimensional gateway, it stretched from the ground to low Earth orbit, its iridescent surface shimmering with the promise of endless possibilities. Dr. Eliana Chen, now director of the Terran Luminan Science Academy, stood at the base of the Nexus, her grey-streaked hair whipping in the wind. Beside her, Dr. James Harper fiddled with what looked like a wristwatch, but was actually a personal quantum computer capable of calculations that would have melted supercomputers a decade ago. "Ready for this?" Eliana asked, a mix of excitement and trepidation in her voice. James grinned, the lines around his eyes crinkling with joy. "Born ready. Though I have to admit, test piloting an interdimensional portal wasn't on my bucket list until recently." They stepped onto a circular platform, joined by Zara and Nira. The Luminan sisters had become celebrities on both worlds, their story of exile and redemption inspiring countless others to bridge the gap between cultures. Initiating Quantum Fold, Zara announced, her four eyes focused on holographic readouts only she could see. Her skin pulsed with complex patterns, interfacing directly with the Nexus systems. Nara placed a hand on Eliana's shoulder, a gesture she had learned conveyed reassurance to humans. "Remember, no matter what we see on the other side, we're making history." The air around them began to shimmer and twist, reality itself seeming to fold like origami. There was a moment of vertigo, a sensation of falling in every direction at once, and then they stood on an alien world, beneath a sky of swirling purple and green. Two suns, one blue and one red, hung low on the horizon. The landscape was a riot of colors and shapes that defied easy categorization. Were those plants, animals, or something in between? "Great Scott," James whispered, his eyes wide with wonder. "We did it. We actually did it." Eliana was already taking readings with a handheld device, her scientific curiosity overriding her awe. "The atmospheric composition is breathable, but barely. And these energy readings, I've never seen anything like them." Zora's antennae twitched with excitement. "This isn't just another planet. I think we stepped into an entirely different universe." As they explored this alien landscape, marveling at life forms that seemed to defy the very laws of biology, a realization began to dawn. The nexus hadn't just bridged the gap between Earth and Lumina. It had opened doorways to infinite realities, each with its own laws of physics, its own evolutionary paths, its own challenges and wonders. Their exploration was cut short by an urgent message from Earth. As they stepped back through the portal, they found the Nexus control room in an uproar. Director Chen, a young scientist, called out, her voice tight with tension. "We're detecting anomalies. Lots of them." On a massive holographic display, hundreds of points of light were blinking into existence around Earth and Lumina. Each one represented a spontaneous quantum portal, a tear in the fabric of reality. The Nexus, Nera breathed, her skin pulsing with patterns of alarm. It's destabilized the quantum field on a multi-universal scale. We've triggered a cascade effect. As they watched, the first reports began pouring in. Dinosaur-like creatures rampaging through Central Park, a fleet of sentient clouds descending on Tokyo, a city of living crystal emerging from the Indian Ocean. "My God," James muttered, "what have we done?" But even as panic began to spread, Eliana felt a spark of something else. Excitement, possibility. She turned to her friends, her eyes shining with determination. "Don't you see? This isn't a disaster. It's the greatest opportunity in the history of both our worlds. We've unlocked the multiverse." Over the days that followed, Earth and Lumina faced challenges beyond anything they had ever imagined. But with each crisis came new discoveries, new alliances, new leaps forward in science and culture. A team led by James developed quantum bubbles, localized fields that could stabilize reality within a given area. These bubbles became safe zones for studying interdimensional visitors and technology. Zara and Naira's unique perspective as former exiles proved invaluable in negotiating with beings from realities so alien that the concept of communication itself had to be redefined. They helped establish the multiversal Concord, a loose alliance of sentient species from across the quantum foam. Eliana found herself at the forefront of a new scientific revolution. The laws of physics were no longer constants but variables, changing from universe to universe. Understanding these differences unlocked technological advancements that seemed like magic: gravity manipulation, time dilation control, even the ability to rewrite the fundamental forces of nature within a localized area. But it wasn't just science that was transformed. Art, music, philosophy, every aspect of human and Luminan culture was revolutionized by contact with infinite other realities. Galleries displayed paintings in colors that didn't exist in our universe. Musicians collaborated with beings of pure sound to create symphonies that could alter emotions on a quantum level. Philosophers grappled with questions of identity and existence in a multiverse where every possibility was realized somewhere. 5 years after the Nexus event, as it came to be known, Earth had become the center of a bustling interdimensional community. The Nexus, once a single spire, had grown into a sprawling complex of portals and research facilities. It was now common to see humans and luminans walking alongside beings of energy, sentient plant collectives, and life forms that defied easy categorization. On the anniversary of that first fateful portal activation, Eliana, James, Zara, and Nera stood once again at the base of the original Nexus spire. They were older now, marked by the challenges and wonders they had faced, but their eyes still shone with the same curiosity and determination that had started them on this journey. "Did you ever imagine it would turn out like this?" Naira asked, her skin pulsing with patterns of contentment and awe. James chuckled, shaking his head. "Not in a million years. Or a million universes, for that matter." Zora's 4 eyes crinkled in what they had all come to recognize as her version of a smile. "We came to Earth as exiles, seeking freedom. We found not just a new home, but gateways to infinite ones." Eliana gazed up at the nexus, its surface shimmering with the quantum energies of countless realities. "You know," she said softly, "there was a time when we looked up at the stars and felt small, insignificant, but now—" She turned to her friends, her family, beings from 2 worlds who had changed the fate of countless others. "Now we know that the universe, every universe, is full of wonders, and we're just getting started." As if in response to her words, a new portal shimmered into existence nearby. Through it, they could see a world of impossible beauty, waiting to be explored. James grinned, the same boyish excitement in his eyes that had been there on the day they first met Zora and Naira. "Well then, Director Chen, shall we see what's out there?" Eliana laughed, a sound of pure joy that echoed through realities. "Always, Dr. Harper, always." Hand in hand, human and Luminan, they stepped through the portal. Behind them, Earth and Lumina stood as beacons of hope and discovery in a vast, infinite multiverse. Ahead lay adventures beyond imagination, challenges that would push them to their limits, and wonders that would redefine the very nature of existence. The nexus hummed with power, a lighthouse in the quantum storm, guiding countless beings towards a future where the only constant was infinite possibility. And at the heart of it all, a story of 2 alien girls who came to Earth in exile and found not just love, but a new destiny for all of creation. In the grand tapestry of the multiverse, their tale was just beginning. And oh, what a tale it would be.